Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back. We're doing another update on the teardown of the middle section. We've got all the upper decks off, and I'm actually to the point where I can finally pull these side pieces off and kind of show you what's going on in there. This is everything that was underneath my subfloor. You guys can see I have that whole subfloor kind of laid out there. I've been trying to do a little bit better with laying things out this time, and so that way it makes it much easier for me to put everything back together, and I don't have to kind of dig through parts. Everything's laid out nicely as I pulled it off. It takes up a lot of space, but it's definitely going to help me whenever all this has to go back together. And just kind of wanted to show you guys the sub support underneath that subfloor. A lot of stuff I built up here, and I will get my phone set up here so you guys can actually watch me pull these side sections off now. You should just pull off fairly easily. And I'm basically just going to keep them one big piece. You guys can see that whole side pulls off. And then there you guys can see where the wheels are sitting. We'll just save that whole piece. That saves me from not only taking it apart, but it saves me time of putting it back together. Now you guys can kind of see in there, you guys can see all that extra support that's kind of built up over the tops of the wheels. And again, my coloration in there. So we'll flip it around to the other side here. Pull these off. And it is nice that they kind of come off fairly easily. And then you just have that whole big section right there. So now I have full access to the whole interior. Now I can see everything. You guys can kind of see my my engine room a lot more now. You guys can kind of see how I went about designing that a little bit better. See a side profile, and then basically my back wall, where I have to make sure my color separation is really good. And then once again, all this whole top support network, and we're actually going to take a look at the forward side here, and I'll show you guys basically what it looks like as you're building it from the Lego instructions. Now of course, you know, minus the huge gap for where the wheels are sitting now, and I'll bring it back once I kind of start to build some of this back up. But right there just kind of shows the base Lego. You got a couple little things here and there for support, but not much. And then you kind of look at mine in that scale. I really added a lot of support in these areas here. All this is drastically going to change once I have this bottom back in place here and I can build from the ground up. But I did do a lot of strengthening in these areas, so that way I could still push on that, and everything basically spread the weight out and was supported. This one wasn't quite as drastic, just because it is set back. This one really encroaches in right at the end there. This one was in ways quite a bit. But you guys could see just all the extra parts that I put into this for that whole floor versus what Lego basically has you kind of building from. Now my task that I'm not really going to be able to follow it per how I had it once I get these wheels out is to make sure once I'm up to this level right here that all this goes on exactly the same, because all my floors and all the decks, everything is based off of this top row right here. So I have to do whatever I can to get all new support network built up to this point and make sure everything is on a level playing field there. You guys can see I do have one side of the floor is basically raised up one plate, on this side, and then this floor is a little bit further down, just by one plate. That was done more to kind of work with how the spine was built. That kind of supports everything. So you guys can see a lot of this inner stuff in here. And all that's going to change once these wheels are gone. I will be able to build that basically from the floor up. And I won't have to deal with just relying on a center spine. So you guys can see just how far I extended that spine past where the wheels go. I brought it way back into here. And then did another kind of support spine in the middle that actually ties in with this. So technically that support goes past the middle, and then I have a bunch of stuff connecting on top of it, and then that stuff plus some of this outer network out here, that's what the base of all that builds upon. So you guys can see I put a lot of strength in there, even with having these huge hollow spots. Took some effort, but once we get all this torn down, get all that taken out, then I'll basically just have to rebuild on the fly. I'll have to come up with some ideas as I build. As far as like Lego's instructions, I'm gonna follow them pretty much per just the bottom row, the basically the two first layers of the bottom of the hull, and then I'll start to integrate my own ideas of how I can support stuff. And like I said, as long as I can build up to these studs right here and have everything level on the bottom of that, then this last little bit of support where the subfloor attaches to the top too, then all that'll be good. So I just have to make sure I stay within those parameters, and I don't go too far past or not far enough, which is pretty easily done. I mean, you guys can see I'm using pretty simple build techniques with just like a Lincoln log type style stacking of these bricks, using like a lot of 2x6 bricks, 2x10, 2x4, or 2x8s. So nothing too crazy as far as like just creating support in there. It's a lot of distance to cover up to get from down here clear to up here, so there is a lot of building involved, a lot of parts that I'm throwing in there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just kind of showing the last little bit of this section before it's completely disassembled the rest of the way down. And I am going to basically have to take everything all the way back down to the very bottom, because I'm going to have to reintegrate floor or base plates in here, some of the bigger base plates that fit up in there, and kind of rebuild the bottom how it should be. So a lot of work yet to come. I think once I start to rebuild the base a little bit, I'll bring you guys back for another update. But you guys can see I just have a ton of parts out right now, and everything's... I'm trying to do my best to lay everything out a little bit nicer this go around. Like I said, I was kind of messy with the bow section, so this middle section has a ton more parts that I have to try to keep track of and try to remember where they go. And like I said, once I get to a certain point, I can't even use Lego's instructions, so I'm relying a lot on the pictures that I'm taking. So I have been taking a ton of photos. So yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the little update, and until next time, take care.